Hi, welcome.
Morning.
Coffee. Welcome to our relaxing painting stream. This is where we paint all sorts of miniatures and dungeon sets. These are some dungeon sets that we've made. You saw us gluing these on Wednesday, right? And we print these all ourselves. These guys, these wolves we didn't actually print, I'll be honest. We're getting a resin printer at some point. It's been ordered, it's a new one, so it's not out yet. But eventually we'll be printing our own miniatures as well. So, we print almost everything here on those 3D printers behind us. And we paint them. If you're interested in the designs, I'm just resizing a window so that our trifocal wearing member of the team can read the chat.
Yep, there's the chat.
There you go. That should be good, or do you need the tech font bigger?
No, that's more than large enough.
Just making sure. I want to make sure, everything's good. The 3D designers can be found on our website, dicendungeons.com, and under the attributions tab, so you can check that out. These are fully magnetized dungeon tiles, like so. Ooh, they stick together. For Dungeons and Dragons or any other role-playing game with combat that's on approximately a 1-inch square. And you... I don't know where I was going with that. You can use them to play those games. We use them, that's where I was going. They can do a flip, see? We use them in our Dungeons and Dragons stream. We do Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Which is cool and fun. And you should check it out. We've also been working on, we got some Wildshape minis. This is a wolf I did. Let's see if I can knock everything over. This is a little wolf guy I did. A gray wolf the other day.
It's an alligator that was done a couple days ago.
And I think you're gonna paint the base on this one, right?
Yeah, I'm paint the base. That didn't focus.
No, it was kind of good though.
A frog.
Yes, I've seen poison dart frogs. So this is a guy I just finished today. Yes, Wednesday. Coffee is still kicking in. And we actually have a second wolf. It's gotten its light base coat. You'll see the legs are the same color, but otherwise it's unpainted. So it's like here's a before and after. Ooh. Right. So I'll probably be working on that. We'll both probably periodically be working on our dungeon tile set here. This is a tavern, so it's a wood floor, plaster wall situation.
Yeah.
And you're gonna start with
little bits that are finishing up from another set.
we have 3 pieces here and 2 doors and a lintel, and when all those are done, we have about a billion, approximately 1 billion doors that need to be all glued in, with lintels that need to be glued in on sets we previously painted. It's just sort of one of those, like, you're messing around with epoxy, and it's just easier to do a whole bunch at once than it is one at a time, because you're mixing up epoxy. So, that is where we are at. I'll set that over there. We have a pile of doors here that you did last time.
Yep, and a lintel for something.
Yeah, this lintel goes on this one.
So
Okay.
this is a lintel that needs to be done because it's not. And these are doors for a necromancy lair. I need to make them look necromancier.
It could be like rusted iron.
I'm actually thinking
Yeah,
green panels.
green panels. This one, it's for this set that has the sort of the blue stone with brown brick. I believe this one is the purple pool. Just so you have in your...
Oh, that's the purple pool one?
Yeah, it's for the purple pool set.
That's fun to say, isn't it?
Purple pool.
Purple pool said I could make them purple then.
The inside panels
The inside panels purple with rusted iron
on the outside.
bars, and the frame could either be rusted iron too or painted like
So
that.
you're sort of thinking like these doors you did with the 3 color?
Maybe. What do you think about that?
I think that's fine. Why don't you do, instead of do the steel with the purple and then black on the outside, if you want to go that way.
Okay. Black or is it grayish black? That's kind of grayish black, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the NATO black.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll do doors like this where it's like a wood with a brass. Sometimes we'll go from something more secure, like here's an all metal door, for example. So there's a lot of different varieties of door we've done. This is our wood, simple wood door. Things like that.
Okay.
So
purple panels, I don't know, that might just be too flat. So maybe I could do...
why don't you do steel, like this one? So this is steel with a brass for the cross beams.
In a black frame.
Yeah, but I'll flip another thing for you. There you go. And then the frame you could do in black. The outside frame here.
Steel with brass, like that.
Yeah, do like this. Steel with brass.
A black outline.
With a black outline, like this one. So it's sort of halfway between these.
Okay, well, we can do that.
Alright.
Yeah. So I'm using this special toothpick holder here to hold it.
I will be getting started on this wolf, and then we'll have 2 wolves. Right?
Yep, and you could do an elk or a bear.
Yeah, I have my elk I've been holding out to do. So the way I tackle these wolves is you have to do fur on a flat thing, which is not easy always. And having looked at wolf pictures, a gray wolf isn't just gray. They're actually a lot of brown and white and black, and it's sort of a muddled mix of things. But there is a gradation that happens where they're lighter on the bottom and get darker at the top, as like a very general sort of statement. So this is our light coat that I have under here. This is deck tan, it's called. It's sort of a light beige. I am going to be introducing an intermediary area in flat earth, which is this nice sort of tan brown, I guess. I don't know.
I've already got one open if you want to use this.
This one's open too.
Okay. This lintel apparently needs to be done in that color.
So, what I want here isn't like a solid line to like it look like a badger or something. I'm actually gonna be doing a lot of sort of a semi-dry brush, where dry brushing is basically you take you have I think there's a cat hair.
Yeah, you start with cat hair.
You sort of have a you load your brush, and then you get rid of most of the paint on like a paper towel, for example. That way you're only left with a little dry section. I'm just doing some brush maintenance because somehow cat hair got in my brush. There we go. And that lets you sort of put on like this sort of loose, muddy amount of paint. You can see I'm going along the back here. Actually, could I have the wolf there? Just so I have a reference so they're similar.
Mm-hmm.
Just grabbing my other wolf. I'll set it somewhere on the safe-ish side. I just want to have the patterning be similar. But basically this height of the wolf, I'm going to create a line from like the neck all the way to the tip of the tail and back. And this will create sort of a intermediary layer of this brownish color. But I don't want it a perfect solid. I want it to sort of fade and change here.
We'll get that color off. And we're going to paint the panels, these doors, on both sides. Do the panels in what's called steel, which is kind of
Dark.
a dark metallic.
It's pretty nice. We use it a lot.
Yep. And then do these cross hatches, these bars in brass to make it look, brassy. And then the outside frame I'm going to do, not the bottom, that'll be in brass too. I'm going to do the bottom in what's called Nichole black, which is black with a little bit of a charcoal lightness to it.
Did our stream freeze? Or stop? I'm not sure.
So I need another toothpick to hold this door so I can get all the edges painted.
Yeah, we use an ample supply of toothpicks on this, on these projects.
Yeah, they're easy to find, handy to use. There's these little holes. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can. That's where the hinge pin goes in, and it is also the place where toothpick can go in to hold it.
As long as you can remove the toothpick. You don't want it to break in there?
No, hasn't happened yet.
Here. Use that.
There's that too. You can always use this. Just fits in the hole. Get kind of a handle. Okay. Let's see. Get a couple.
So I'm just creating. It looks really funny when it's just like a muddy streak along the side of the wolf, basically. But a lot of this gets covered up, and it sort of just creates a intermediary zone. And the wolves tend to have, from pictures I've seen at least, a bit more going on down their front legs, and their back legs tend to stay a lot more light color, just at least based on pictures. I'm not a wolf biologist.
I'm painting these panels. What I want to do is, the panels are inset and it's raised all around them, is I want to get the paint into all the corners. Because when I paint the raised part, you don't want any of the primer showing through. It doesn't completely cover the edges. And these metallic paints, you don't need very much. They cover a lot of surface area.
They're a thin paint. They're sort of made for airbrushing, actually, like airbrushing airplanes and stuff, but they have a good color. So as long as you work with it, it's not too bad.
I'm going to swap over onto the cross beam things that are going to be brass later. Just to make sure I'm getting what I want covered.
There, it looks like a perfect wolf. Right? This is how wolves look?
Yeah. I mean, there might be a wolf that looks like that.
With racing stripes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm periodically turning it just so I can get a look at what I did on the other side so that they're roughly similar. It's fur, so there's a lot of wiggle room in terms of inconsistency from one side to the other, but you still want them to look roughly the same from to one another.
Yeah, animals tend to be bilaterally symmetric like that.
Earth ones, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so this is a browned wolf. Browned in a souffle pan. Sounds like brown duck or something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Lightly brown the eggs, and that's what I got from it. Alright, so this sort of awkward looking line of brown that goes around the wolf here, I'm gonna let dry a little bit, clean up my brush, and maybe we will then start layering. So, if we look at one of my more finished wolves here, what we're looking at is this, you just see these touches of brown coming through underneath. That is what most of what I just painted is going to be. I'm gonna be taking a dark gray next and filling in the top here, because the wolf is almost entirely gray on top. But then I'm going to start feathering down from that solid section over the brown to partially cover it. So that will be our goal. Focus. There we go. Hopefully we'll get there. So I need the dark gray.
Dark gray.
Here it is. Always clean your brush. Don't forget. Especially a fancy brush. And remember to drink coffee. So, I actually need to cover a fair amount of surface area on the back here, and I want it to pretty much all be entirely solid. So, I'm actually going to use a medium-sized brush for a second here. I know it's sort of antithetical to detail work, but when you need a whole lot painted, sometimes it's just easier with a larger brush. So I am filling in the back area up to where the brown starts with this dark gray. I don't want to go over the brown yet with my large brush, at least. And I'm not gonna tackle the head too much. I'm gonna go right up to the neck, but I want to do the entire head with a finer brush. So my goal here is to just create the solid section. And even this isn't going to ultimately be solid. I'm actually going to be going over the dark gray here with a lighter neutral gray color to work in some variation. This is actually almost like a dark undercoat for the final wool color. Because even when I'm done with the neutral gray, on top of this dark gray, I'm also going to be doing some targeted shading. So if you see what were they, hackles?
Mm-hmm.
The hackles on this wolf have these darker undersides to them that help enunciate. Those fur bits on top. That's done with a black wash that I did at the end. But for now, I need to get my base coat. Starting to look like a striped badger, though. That's nice.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around this door and the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Check to make sure I got all the corners filled in, and the edges to the top, which tends not to be the case. Alright. So I'll be painting around this, and then since I have the steel color out, there are windows on the tavern set.
Oh, you're gonna paint those.
I have X's on them that are supposed to be like the things that hold
The mullions? I think they're mullions. I'm not 100% sure, actually. But so I have the solid section of dark gray put in. I'm gonna switch back after I clean my brush to the smaller brush and keep putting dark gray in. I'm gonna feather the dark gray down the sides over the brown I've put in to create a sort of mottled fur look, hopefully. Yeah. After I knock. I'm having a gravity day. I shouldn't handle anything expensive or made out of glass.
I had a day like that yesterday. It's like nothing breakable. I just couldn't be around it. Making sure I got, which I don't like here, these corners up here.
Alright, so continuing with the dark brown, I'm switching back to my smaller brush here. And I'm going to be generally kind of dry brushing, half to full dry brushing down over.
This is intentionally quite messy because I want to get into all these corners. And then of course all of that will be painted over when I do the rest on reinforcing bars there. You can tell I painted this from the other direction. The bottoms are fine, but the top parts here, which really won't show because you're looking at it from the top down, to be touched up. So there's that. Those are those doors. Now these here, that's what the windows look like. These X's, and those all need to be painted steel. This one, there's a lot of filaments on it. That needs to be cleaned up. Yeah, do you have a little file or something?
Do you want to use this guy?
I could use that. How many windows are there? Just the two?
Just two.
Okay. So what? To clean the brush because this is going to take a minute. Yeah, this. You can see that there's just a lot of filament left on these windows, and you know it doesn't show too much here, but if the paint gets on them, it's just going to look messy. Usually this doesn't happen. It's weird. But there's just so much of it.
With prints, even like atmospheric differences, if it was warmer, can lead to more threading and stuff. So there is always variation between even the same print.
And that's kind of a hard thing for the printer to print, these little unsupported X's, basically.
Yeah, they have no supports other than just the diagonal.
Yeah.
Which I'm always impressed that it does print.
At all, yeah.
Wolf butt.
Basically, these are little threads that will look like cat hairs in the paint.
Yeah, if we don't clear them out.
Alright, so I'm going to do my best to clear them without breaking anything. You know, and if there are a couple left, we'll just call them cat hairs and blame the cats.
So that's the pre-transitional, and here's our post-transitional stage. Not trans. Could be a trans wolf. I don't know.
Could be.
I haven't asked. So that's where we're headed to get this sort of more grayed in look with the underlayer of brown, almost creating like a rough line. There. And I'll also be tackling the head a little bit, getting the gray shading in. So with the head, they almost have like a helmet-like shape to them.
Anyway, I'm just sort of scraping away at these. Scrape them off, you have to find where they're attached, and that's hard to do when it's all black on black. Maybe it's called white background there.
So you can see I'm starting to rough in the fur on the head here. And it comes down and up the cheek a little.
Yeah, this kind of cleanup can slow things down a little bit, but I'm sure it's exciting to watch. Laying these little threads out. See this side? Oh, it's globbed up. Should I file that down?
No, that'll be fine.
Okay. Let's cut threads on this. Scrape away.
Alright, so I'm getting the rough fur head in the head here. It's coming along okay. And let's see. I just need to work down the gray a little closer. Alright. So, I got this side kind of put in with the base gray. And now I have to go down along that side. It's starting to look a little more wolf-like when you do the head. Get even just like a little bit of the head coloration in. It starts to get a more wolf appearance quickly, which is nice. I feel like one little spot here needs a little more. Okay. Yeah. So, before you start on this side, always have coffee.
Okay, well, that's much cleaner than when we started. we'll see if there's any of the steel paint still left alive.
In the cup?
Yeah, or whether it's dried up. So there's some there. So all these X's here, which are kind of a pain to paint because you have to get into all the corners. Getting painted that steel color. And then there's like a frame around it. Here, needs to be painted too, and I'm making sure I just get into the corners because we paint the wood frame up to it later. Usually use one drop at a time. The paint covers a lot. I don't want to just end up wasting it by letting it dry in the cup.
Generally, I find your only options in painting are having way too much or never enough.
Yeah,
Like,
there is a lot.
You can, if you have to pour it into a cup or a pallet or something, you always either pour way too much or you have to keep pouring to finish until you have way too much at the end. You know?
Yeah, it does seem that way, doesn't it?
I feel like you never get a, like, that's exactly enough. Alright, so, as you can see, a lot of that brown ends up getting covered up, but it lets you sort of create this layer effect in the fur. To create that sort of boundary of brown that wolves have. What do you think so far?
Yeah, that's coming along nicely.
So I'm gonna close up my gray for now and have a very out of focus wolf. There we go. I'm gonna let this guy dry for a second, and then my next step is to take neutral gray here. Although I think this one's unopened. There should be an open.
There should be one, yeah.
Neutral gray somewhere.
There's several of them.
Yeah, I'll take them. Taking some of this neutral gray, which is lighter than the dark gray I have here. And that's going to be intermixed along the top to sort of break it up and create a nice inconsistent coat, like you see here. Side-by-side view. That's where we're going. And at some point, I'll need to paint the face in. Grr.
Grr?
Yeah, the wolf was going grr.
No. Not grr. Just grr.
And one thing that's gonna really make this finished wolf pop, actually, is painting the base in a single color. It's weird how much a gray splotchy base like that throws off the overall look of a painted mini. I don't know why that is. Some Gestalt principle, probably. Like the little splotches around the feet are drawing your attention away subtly, but So hopefully we'll paint the bottom here soon. Do you want to do brown or green for the base? I'm almost thinking green.
Yeah, well,
Like a forest green or a dark green.
a really dark green.
Olive drab maybe, or deep green.
I don't know. The olive drab wouldn't look good.
No, man.
The deep green.
Deep green or dark green?
Yeah, either one. This is a little bit grassy. This one looks okay. Deep green, maybe.
Deep green.
Yeah.
Did you want to paint the basin, or should I?
I can do it. I'm pretty good at painting bases.
Okay.
It's up to you, though. I mean, if you just want to finish the wolves, that would be fine, because I got lots of things to do. I got doors to finish and a whole lot of dungeon tiles to work on.
So one thing I'm noticing here is, I don't know how visible it is, there's a couple specks of the deck tan, the base coat, that are peeking through in one or two spots, mostly around the hackles.
Where you just don't want it.
And like it's probably going to be covered up, but you know, in it'll create sort of an odd look if they do show through. So I'm actually gonna take the dark gray, just a tiny bit, and fill in those spots. There's nothing worse than finishing a piece and then you see like one tiny spot that's just gonna like, no one's gonna notice, but it'll bother you. You know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I mean...
There we go. Clean up that little...
I've done that many times, so
spot.
You just go, oh, okay, I've looked at it 4 times now from every angle.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. There's the spot.
Okay, so neutral gray will be nice.
Like I was looking at the alligator.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a piece of dust or just something that got missed, but there's this tiny little white spot in the dark green that kind of shows. So.
You might need to go in and...
Yeah, I'm going to see if it's just dust and then I can brush it off, but I might need to take the tiniest dot of olive drab and just cover it.
Okay. Here's the wolf. We'll get now. It's a light gray coat on top of everything else it's gotten. Ooh. Dr. Pumpkins likes the lattice that you're working on.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the lattice is good. It's the window on the tavern set.
And this is the area. This is the way the wolf is going.
I'm getting all the little cross bits here. Painting it from the front and the back.
I'm making a second wolf. So I think our dark gray is dry-ish. Yeah, fur is a little difficult to do on a 3D model sometimes, but I think fur is a little difficult to do in general. But for some reason, we chose to get a whole bunch of animals to paint. Actually, well, thank you. The reason we have so many animals is for my druid, I guess, actually.
Mm-hmm. Actually, yeah. All your wild shapes. You don't do wolves very often.
I did a wolf in that one fight in Nordfeld.
Yeah, you went bark, bark.
Yeah.
Just like wolves do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Bark, bark, bark. Classic wolf sound. So the neutral gray, as you can see, is quite close to the dark gray. And what I'm doing, oops, that was a little too much. Is just trying to spread it around a little to break up the dark gray. I don't want to coat the dark gray completely, but rather create sort of a mottled effect that, yes, who 128? Bark, 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 bark.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be a wolf, you might as well sound exactly like one, right?
Yeah. I believe when I was a wolf in the game, I also kept my staff and had it in my mouth. And I was, bonking people with my staff in my mouth.
That's how wolves attack. With borrowed staves.
Yeah. So the effect I'm going for is sort of just modeling this dark gray so it has an inconsistent look to it. Because fur is never consistent. And I'm basically just splotching it around in the dark gray. I might be having some camera focus issues here, I'm not sure. But what I do generally to control the volume on it is you dab your brush in the paint as little as you can, almost, actually, just so you don't waste. And then you actually dry the brush off a lot on a piece of paper towel like that. And that just leaves like this dry little fraction of paint on your brush that creates this sort of feathered, inconsistent look that you want. That's sort of like a real rough description of dry brushing. So doing a lot of layers. So I started with this beige layer. I put in a feathered line of flat earth, this brown, around that you can only sort of see. Because then I went over it with the dark gray. And now I'm going over the dark gray with a neutral gray, which is slightly lighter. And then once that, I want to thank you for, I learned how to do a wolf Wednesday by looking at pictures of wolves.
Now you're learning how to do a wolf by looking at the one you did Wednesday.
Yeah, exactly. Because I want them to match. Or be similar, at least. Like the same.
I'm just checking this one.
After I am done with this, the next step is going to be working on the face of the wolf. So I roughed in some colors on the wolf, but the face actually has a lot more detail to it that I need to do. But so the wolf is coming along here, the body at least. Now I'm just holding it up. I'm farsighted, so it's just about 11 here. We're Eastern time, Eastern Standard.
Hello. Thanks for joining.
And welcome, Mock Clown. So I'm relying heavily on coffee. I'm more of a late night person, but you know. So I'm going to try and introduce a very small amount of neutral gray in the head portion, the gray portion of the head here.
Just finished those windows. That's for the tavern set. Okay. Put those aside. And what I'm going to be doing next is going back to these doors that I was working on. The cross bracing, the panels are steel. The cross bracing will be brass for a reason. And then the frame on the outside will be black.
Yeah, it's pretty early for me too. I'm more I tend naturally to be more of a night owl. I'm relying a lot on coffee right now. We have talked about maybe doing streaming a little later in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see.
Yeah. So now I need to find the brass. That might be it.
Is that the regular brass?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, the bright brass is a little too translucent.
It's really very bright. I mean, if you want, you can see it on the color chart.
I don't think I've ever had a NOS energy drink. NOS. I think the only energy drinks I've really ever had are some Red Bulls. So.
I don't have energy drinks. I don't want to be energetic. It's just way too disturbing.
I'm going to be putting in the groundwork for the face of the wolf. Let me see if I can. I have too many things in my hand. Okay. So if you see on this wolf that I've done, I have this little face on him. Bark, 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 like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, when I was back in high school and stuff, Red Bull I think was like the only energy drink there was.
I think that's true.
They didn't come out with 1.5 million yet. So I'm gonna be putting black in, and I'm going to get the nose. I'm gonna fill the entire mouth with black. And put black in the eye socket area. I cannot get this camera to focus. Anyway, you'll see it as I go. So, what I need to do, I'm going to take my very teeny brush, make the nose, fill the whole mouth in with black, and under these eye sockets here, I'm going to make the whole eye black, and then I'll be applying the teeth and the pupils over the top of that black. Is generally how I'm going to do it. Unless I slip, and then I have to paint over it again in the base coat and go from there. Okay. This is where you take a deep breath and hope you didn't drink too much coffee. Right?
You're trying to do the tiny little eyeballs?
The tiny bits.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start with the nose.
Get the brass up onto where the frame will be later.
Oh no, it's out of focus.
You're out of focus or the camera's out of focus?
Both. Imagine doing this drunk or with no patience. Yeah. That's that would be difficult. I imagine. Okay. So there's our teeny tiny little wolf nose. Bark, bark. Now I'm going to fill in the mouth, which will create effectively what I'm doing is I'm making the lips. The wolf pictures I looked at, the wolves had black lips. So by filling in the entire mouth, I can then paint the teeth over that black and create a little more, have a little more control. So,
okay. So that's the brass kind of decorative support on the door. one side of one door.
It's just like applying mascara to a super tiny eye. Or not mascara, like lit eyeliner. Right?
I wouldn't know.
Why not?
I just think sticking stuff in your eye is just a weird thing to do anyway. Now I'm going to take a very hard, pointy brush, right? Stick it right up into my eyeball. Because
Well, thanks for dropping by, Mock Clown.
yeah, thank you. Stop in Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
If you don't like sticking things in your eye, maybe you should re-examine what,
What?
patriarchal systems of beauty expectations are.
Not mine.
Not yours. Okay, so there's the roughed in mouth. Let's see. There we go. And then we'll get some teeth put in it later using an ivory color. And now this part is actually I think the most annoying part, the eye socket, because at least on this mini, the eye isn't the most defined. I basically have like a brow line to work with. Like there's not an actual, there's like only like the tiniest hint of an actual eye. So I have to kind of define it myself. So
You did a great job on the other one, though, including the tiny little yellow pupil.
I think that'll do. Now I just have to replicate it on the other side, which is always fun. The first one's always easy, because whatever it is that looks, as long as it looks alright, you did it right. The second one, you have to mirror. That'll do. There's one little tiny spot I want to clean up with that eye. So the nice thing about paint is that you can always paint over it. Basically, on the inside eye, it's a little messier than I want. Autofocus. On the inside of the eye here. Maybe if I move it up a little. It's a little messier than I want, a little bigger. So what I'm gonna do is take the base coat that it's painted on, the deck tan here. Always double check and make sure you're grabbing the right paint, because you don't want to be like, oh yes, I'll use the deck tan, and it's this buff, which is actually a little browner, a little darker.
Yeah, they're pretty similar.
But they're very similar.
The caps are similar. The colors really aren't.
Yeah. So, what I'm going to do is clean off my little teeny brush. And these brushes, I think they're a Japanese company. They're God Hand, they're called. But they have these light plastic handles that are a little thicker. And they give you a really nice hold. And they're not heavy, so they're nice and light in the hand. I really have been enjoying them. As you can tell by the amount of paint I have all over the handle. I was like, these are fancy brushes. I'm gonna, keep them clean. And then immediately, I'm just like,
yeah, well,
everything's covered in paint. That's just the nature of it.
the nature of paintbrushes is getting paint on them.
Ugh. This deck tan's a little cruddy.
Cruddy? Do you need to stir from the bottom, maybe?
No, it's okay now. I just needed a better shaking. I'm gonna just to be safe.
You get a stir stick here if you need it.
No, I really only need like
A dot.
and a dot. This is probably actually too much that I have on my brush.
So I got some brass on the steel on the other door. The brush just. Anyway, yeah, I just slipped.
That's what cleanup's for.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just going to open the steel. There's always paint right, at the top of one of these things. I think I can just reach down and yeah, there's lots of stuff there.
So, should I do the eyes or the teeth next? On this wolf. I just painted in the eyes. I should do the teeth. I'm going a little faster. If I was painting at home, I would honestly probably. Well, I am painting at home. But you know what I mean. If I wasn't streaming my painting, especially in some of the dungeon tiles, I would get up, take a 10-minute break, let paint dry. I'm sort of pushing it into the it's just dry enough to keep going territory here because I don't want to, be boring.
I can do that for you.
So I'm taking this ivory for the teeth, which is a nice sort of beige creamy off white. It's almost got like a milky color, I think. And I really need the smallest amount of it. And it's a squeeze bottle. So I'm just going to squeeze it right onto one of my paper towels that I have over here, rather than get a cup dirty. Because I really only need about that much. Maybe 2 of those to do the teeth here. So
there.
Here we go.
That brass doesn't need to set up too much because the black frame that I'm going to be painting shouldn't really touch the brass very much, and it shouldn't run into it.
So you can see here, by putting carefully the ivory in over the black, I can create black lips a little more easily than if I had painted that in and then I was trying to go over the other way. So
is that the black I need, or is that this black?
That's black. What do you need?
The NATO black.
NATO black? Dark gray. Was that it? That's it. Okay. Focus. Careful. That's too much on my brush. I don't want to splotch. I'm trying to think a lot about my brush approach here, because I don't want Yeah, I spotched a little. Alright, well, this side of the mouth is messed up. So I'm going to work it in, and then I have to fix it. I always have a harder time on that side of the mouth because I'm left-handed. Which is funny because, it's easier for me to go in and out, but then it is in and out that way. So I don't know why, but so that's what the mouth's supposed to look like. And when you slip a little, that's what it ends up looking like. It gets a little. This side's good. I'm not touching this side. This side has to be fixed. So I am going to clean off my little brush here and get the black back. I'm gonna see if I can fix it by just painting in the lips the harder way. If I can't, then I'll just fill it in and try again.
Try again.
But we'll see. We'll see how good I am, how much. The careful dance between enough coffee to focus and too much coffee and having shaky hands, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Everything is all about the balance.
Perfectly balanced. Get the tiniest amount.
Well, that's what a Necromancer's door is going to look like. It's actually a crypt. It's actually, that looks like what's on the outside of a crypt.
And we'll do a black wash on it in the end to make it look more weathered and dark and mysterious, yeah?
Sure.
Because it is a crypt. This is what I was hoping to avoid is the this, like, detail cleanup.
Yeah, the back and forth of the detail over and over again. Yeah.
Okay. I'm on the right path. It's better. But now I have to go in a little more with the ivory on this mouth. I was hoping to be more impressive. My ivory still is there. Alright. I think approaching it this way. We're getting close. We're getting close. Okay.
So I'm going to do the edges. As you know, the door swings open and closed again if you want. So these will actually show, so they need to be painted. It's kind of a rough texture because just the way the print happened. So it takes a fair amount of paint to get into it.
Yeah, a rougher texture will increase your surface area. Because if you think about, you paint a flat surface, it's just that surface. If that surface has a bunch of little divots in it, like that, now you have the whole flat surface plus like all of the inside, both sides of the divot, and that actually can almost like double your surface area.
No, at least sometimes even more. So the other thing I want to do is sometimes with dark colors, especially if there's a grain in the print, like there is, this is a sort of a wood grain.
Is there a grain in that one?
Yeah. In the frame. You get little spots that didn't get covered. I want to go back and check. Do that while I still have this door out.
You know what? I'm gonna get that one little spot, and then I'm gonna call it good on the mouth.
And then I'm going to actually paint the bottom of the door too. Not that you usually see that, but it just, it might reflect the light, or the camera might be just at the wrong angle and you'll see some of the primers. So there's no sense.
Most people don't have a camera.
Well, we have a camera.
Yeah.
Like if we were to use this on the show, and the camera were down low, it might show. Anyway, it ensures that these corners are covered. I'll just check it again to make sure the coverage is, the way I want it.
Okay. I'm gonna call that mouth good.
Good mouth.
Thank you. I think I'm happy enough with it. So let's see how it looks then.
Happy mouth. Okay. So there.
Bark,
Barn
bark.
door. Here's the other door.
Yeah, that's good enough. Alright. Good enough for government work. Alright.
We're working for the government?
No. I mean, if you count taxes.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to take this nice bright yellow and just ruin my eyes ruin the wolf's eyes, I guess.
By trying to put little tiny.
By putting tiny dots in. They turned out okay last time, but things can never go to plan. Alright. So using my tiny brush, I'm just getting this tiny dot of yellow. And wolves have forward-facing eyes, generally, because they're predators. So I'm gonna put a little yellow dot. I don't know if that's even visible. Well, it's blurred at least. A little yellow dot like that in the black to make a nice menacing wolf eye thing. And now I have to do the same on the other side. And then this is always the harder one because you have to match it. What do you think?
Yeah, you nailed them. They look good.
Okay. I'm gonna seal up my bottle and clean my brush, and then I'll see if I can get the camera to focus on the face. Alright, there is our wolf face. Bark, bark. Like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bark, bark, bark. Alright, so now we have the face in. Our next step, I have all of the base colors in where I generally want them. So
I'm going to just throw it around.
our next step on making the wolf look like this guy is shading. You can see in our little side-by-side here, this one's darker and has a lot more variation, and this guy on the left is kind of flat and boring. So what we're doing is going to be using some black wash in selected ways to shade in and break up this sort of mono color boringness that we're dealing with here. I also, there's one splotch here that I don't quite like that I did on the side. I'm actually going to take some of the brown flat earth here in a select way, dry brush in a little over to break this up, because I've been looking at it a little and it just looks wrong. So, there, that's maybe a little better. I might actually do that in a couple spots.
Okay, so I have this pretty much covered. Now I'm going to go around. It's like there's a spot there. It didn't get quite colored. The paint is kind of gloppy there. Just looking for spots where in the texture of the print, the paint didn't cover it.
There you go. I'm kind of reintroducing a little of the brown. It got a little more covered up than I want. Just by loosely going back over. And one thing I noticed is on the bottom of the chin here, I got a little splotch of brown, and I don't want that there, so I'm gonna clean that up before I do any washing.
So the stores are done.
There.
Put those aside. Have this paint. Now what I'm going to be doing is very large surface area painting.
Oh, you're gonna start on the tavern set?
Yeah, well, I got the doors and the lintel.
For this old set?
Yeah, for the tavern set.
That's not for the tavern.
No, these are for the tavern.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these walls, this is a curved corner, which is kind of nice, is plaster stucco in a wood frame. So I'm going to be painting. The multi-step process is to paint all of the stucco, okay, and then to paint the wood frame around it, and then to paint the boundary between the floor and the wall, and then to paint the floor, and then to do, I guess, umber wash you end up doing on the wood parts.
Yeah, with the flat earth, and here's an open flat earth if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Flat earth with an umber wash. So, if you want an example, this tavern set here that we did, it's going to be similar. This is the flat brown on the wood on the floor. And then this is the flat earth with an umber wash over it. The main difference between this one and the one you're doing is going to be that instead of blue, it'll be dark sand, right?
Yeah, yes.
So that'll be sort of like a yellowed plaster look, basically.
Yep, and hopefully we'll have enough of it.
We'll see. We might have to buy more, maybe.
Maybe.
Right. I was working on a wall.
Yeah, because we just have this small bottle of it, which has already been used, and we'll see how far it stretches. Yeah. Hopefully it'll be enough to finish this.
It should be, unless you need multiple codes.
Yeah.
Which it shouldn't.
This one covers pretty well.
So there's some color consistency commentary to be had here. So some of the Tamiyas, like this neutral gray, they coat just fine in one coat. Some of the Tamiyas, like this yellow, a lot of the brighter colors I've noticed tend to take multiple coats to cover if you want to cover a large area. They're totally fine for small details like the eyes on this wolf, but they tend to be a little thin and translucent on a larger scale. So, for example, this yellow tavern wall I did in that, that took 3 coats to get it properly covered with the yellow. But like a neutral gray wall, 1 coat, just fine. Different game companies, paint companies also have different consistencies. In general, I find any of these, this is Model Color by Vallejo. I find all the Vallejos tend, except for the airbrush ones, tend to be a lot thicker and a lot more opaque. So it's always good before you start painting an expensive figure to not only, and all paints can dry different colors than what they look like in the bottle wet. So not only is it good to paint all of the colors you own and label them so you have a color chart. You can see here we have a strip of each color, and then we actually put a black and an umber wash on them to get an idea of what they look like. Not only is that good to do for reference color-wise, but it also lets you get a feel for the consistency of the paint. You can always thin paint. Thickening paint is harder. Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah, you can.
It's technically possible, I believe, but it's a lot harder. Thick paint, if it's too thick, doing detail work can be difficult because you tend to get clumps on your brush quickly. But a thin paint, likewise, can run.
Yeah, just
like,
be hard to control.
Be a little hard to control. So a lot of it comes down to your personal preference and how you paint. And that's something you sort of learn over time. One thing I'm realizing I need to do on this wolf still are the ears. I have not touched the ears yet, and they have like little black tips and stuff on the ears. So as I'm talking, I am realizing that. Meanwhile, so for something like what you were doing, Dad, a thicker paint is going to be a little better because it's going to be more opaque and cover.
Yeah, you want to cover in one coat.
In one coat, ideally, because otherwise you're wasting a lot of paint.
So the way this is, I mean, it doesn't cover perfectly, so it's not monochromatic, but because there's a black primer underneath, it actually gives it, we don't have to wash it then to give it a little bit of variation. So that looks, right? That looks good with one coat.
Yeah, that should be good.
See? And I'm getting into all the corners because, I mean, if you were really, really doing this when you were painting the wood, you'd want to get that bit up to the stucco, but that's next to impossible to do here at the volume that we're doing. So I want to get the stucco color, and then there aren't any gaps that just show the black primer underneath. So I'm painting it into the corners and up to the edges, and then up to where the wood color, the flat earth color will be.
I'm painting in little black tips.
It looks really messy, but
on the ears, and I'm also going to. They also have a little bit of black fluff on the inside of the ear. I'm gonna try and replicate a little. Alright. Yeah, that's okay. The ears are less important than the face. I did get one teeny tiny splotch on the gray fur, which is really easy to fix. You just pull your gray out, get a tiny bit on your brush, and boop, there it's gone. Okay. Alright, so seal that up. Dual washing brushes. I was washing them like that, holding them together. Alright. So, next is the wash, I think. Yeah? Should I just keep going on this wall?
Yeah. And as well, I'm just painting walls.
I know, it's not as fun and exciting, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's relaxing painting. That's what the show's called, right?
Yeah, so you shouldn't feel like frantic with energy when you're painting.
No. When I'm painting these walls, then I can just be relaxed. And,
you gotta take bets on how much wash I get on my fingers opening and closing this.
No, it's gonna splatter everywhere.
Well, I know, but yeah, I'm asking volume, not if.
Medium.
Medium volume. I'm gonna try for light amount of splash. Okay.
You don't need a glove for what you're doing.
I'm using a handle, so. Would you say that's light or medium?
For that bottle, that's light.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, the black wash bottles. The stuff just
there's something about this cap design that it just really, when it snaps and stuff, it really jumps around. So, I'm going to be doing a wash shading on this. My main goal, I'm going to be targeting areas where there's sort of creases, I guess. I don't know. So there's areas in the model in between the limbs, behind the hackles, and more-ish on the underside. So there's going to be a lot of trying to control the volume of wash on my brush, but what I want to do is work the wash down into those smaller areas to shade it in, and then kind of build out. When wash is very thin and liquidy, so you can manipulate it a lot, but it also runs. So what I did here is I dropped a little black wash into the haunch area, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a wolf biologist. Into there to really enunciate that point between the leg and the body. If you look there, it's sort of flat on the other side, but this way, hopefully, I create that sort of visual language.
Speaking to you?
Well, you can more clearly see where the leg is, I think, by doing that, right?
Yeah. You said visual language.
I know. So I generally want to do that in the areas where there is joints and shifts in. So this, a lot of what this actually is manipulating contrast. Really, what I'm doing ultimately. So I'm sort of making intentional areas of dark and light. Hopefully intentional. That's the key, isn't it? Making
No, sometimes you have happy accidents.
happy little accidents. Yeah, that's the joy of paint. So starting to build it in, and as it dries, it gets less shiny. We'll probably also spray it down at some point with a matte coat as well to protect the paint. Stuff like that.
This is pretty viscous paint and it builds up on the brush.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you often have to keep cleaning your brush, which is like mildly annoying, but not the end of the world. Right?
Mm-hmm. You've gone all quiet.
I started focusing. Sorry.
No, that's okay. You can stay focused. When you're doing that kind of shading work, you got to make the wolf look wolfy. I just go back over the parts that were originally painted. Places where it's kind of thin and showing through a little too much underneath, where it's too translucent, and just give it a little more paint. Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Just focused building up these
These layers.
shade layers. Alright. Is our music not playing?
I don't know.
You know, something we're gonna be changing our setup, but our music hasn't been playing at all.
How relaxing can you be if you don't have music?
I know. Usually when we push the start button, it should autoplay, but there's been some updates and stuff, and it's made everything kinda off. So, there we go. Sorry about that, everyone. There should be music now.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than an update, which is what usually supposed to make things better, but hardly ever do.
Mm-hmm.
In order to improve our service to you, we will make sure that everything that was working before doesn't now.
Yeah.
Thank you for your business.
All of your previous settings have been reset.
Mm-hmm.
So that you can
but the default isn't what it used to be. The default is the new default.
So you can experience the joy of setting it all up again.
However, we have also improved the user interface. So everything you thought you knew where to find it, you can't find it now. We hope you enjoy our new and improved product.
That will now be a paid subscription.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, speaking of paid subscriptions, Elon Musk decided that he's going to make money on Twitter somehow by not having as many ads. But if anybody retweets something or quotes a tweet, he wants to charge them a fee. So apparently, if you do something on Twitter, this probably has been this way all along, Twitter owns it. I mean, as soon as you tweet it, Twitter now owns what you tweeted.
Okay.
And Musk seems to think that he can charge other people to use it.
Neat. Yeah. I wonder if that's actually even going to happen. There's a lot of speculation about, like, can he even, like, if
he's even going to pull off the purchase.
Like, he would have to apparently sell a ton of stock in order to do it.
You know, he sold like 4 or 5 billion of Tesla stock, but he says that's all he's going to sell. And he's got to come up with another $16 billion somewhere.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. So I'm doing these hackle cards now. That's what they're called. Right? Hackle.
I think so. Raise your hackles.
And what I really want is to get black wash on the underside of them so that they stand out more visually by having like this darker part underneath the higher part. I'm dropping in a little extra under there and then actually wiping away some of it with a dry brush to get that in there. So with wash you can control it a lot with by controlling the dryness or wetness of your brush. So you can actually take a loaded brush, drop in a little too much even, and then if you dry off your brush, it'll actually suck up excess prime or wash. And that lets you sort of get in those crevices and control the amount. Fair amount. So I'm going to do that with the front hackles and then fill this area in between the two a little with some shading.
I finished the square corners, now I'm doing round corners.
Alright, so
the round corners are everybody's favorite. They look good, easy to paint.
now I need to get this middle part of the torso here. Generally speaking, it's going to be lighter on top and darker the further down you go, so I'm going to try and generally give that sense. By leaving the top lighter. No, I don't want to wash much or any of the face. I'm going to keep that fairly bright. But the top of the head here needs a little for consistency. I'm just looking over for areas that might need more, I might have missed. Okay. So the last thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna pare back a little bit of the shading very finely on the back haunch of this wolf. By taking a very small amount of the base coat and going over where it was a little too shaded. Just lighten it up slightly. Wolves have a very lighter back leg than they do a foreleg, it looks like, so just lightening up that shaded area on the back one a tiny bit. What do you think? Still shiny.
Yeah, that one came out really well. I really like it. When you got the face nice, the face really makes the model.
Yeah, well, humans tend to see faces, so even on animals. So it looks more complete with a face than it ever could, no matter how I do the rest of it. So I think this wolf is done except for its base. I wanna say. It'll get a little less shiny as the wash on it dries, but that takes about half an hour to really fully dry, because wash tends to be a very liquidy paint. But I'm gonna call this wolf done. So here's its sibling. Similar, slightly different. Now we have a pair of wolves. Other than the bases. The bases need to be done still. But did you say you were gonna do those?
No, you said you were going to do those.
Did I?
Yeah, because I was painting these walls.
Alright.
And you would have complete control over the wolf.
After you passed it off on me and you did the base coat. We said deep green for the base.
Yeah.
Alright. So what I'm gonna do is paint in the base on this one because it's on the handle. The main thing, talking you through it, is the feet luckily are just the base coat. I have not done a thing to the feet. So if I get green on the feet, no big deal. I just want to make sure I don't get it up on the figure. What I'm going to be doing is going in and going around the feet with my brush to create a separation between the green and the wolf in the ground. That will give me some breathing room to paint a little more quickly in the larger surface areas. But I'll probably do fine with a fine brush the entire underside area of the wolf because I want to make sure I'm controlling the paint. I don't know when the last time we used this was, so I'm going to give it a nice
Yeah, we don't use that one very often.
thorough shake here. Okay. Get that. Oh, open. Alright. So, what I like to do, and I don't know if you do the same, I actually like to bring the paint in outside of where I'm going to and push it carefully and slowly in towards the target.
Yeah, so that the paint is
You have a lot more control
pushing the paint.
Pushing than you do just watching it in place right in the get-go. So for something like this, where I'm trying to work up to the wolf foot, especially, I like to get my brush loaded, set it down outside of where I'm going, and push in towards. And that generally works as long as I'm
Generally careful.
generally careful. So you can see I'm started getting in. This is always the time where I'm gonna like drop the brush and make a huge green splotch on the wolf's face. I spent so much time painting, you know?
Yeah, that's oftentimes what happens. By holding your piece of gravity, it works with you rather than against you if something slips.
Sometimes works.
Mm-hmm. Just like when I was painting the frog toes. Getting the paint up between the frog toes.
Yeah, I'm trying to get between its claws. You can actually sort of see a foot there. No. And what I might do actually, once I get this base painted in, is take a tiny amount of black wash and put it between the claws to separate the toes a little visually, very, very slightly. So they look a little less monolithic. But first, I want to get all of this painted. This is sort of where having a painting handle really helps. So.
Yeah, it was good to get those.
Okay. Half of the feet have been separated. And you can see why I'm gonna go in between the toes there. They're looking a little single color once you actually can see them. You know?
You know, once you can see them, you can't see them.
It's kind of funny that way. At least this is better than the scorpion, which had 8 feet on the ground. This is only half that many. Now, an 8-legged wolf would be pretty cool, though.
No, it would just be weirdly gross.
No, it's like Sleipnir. You know?
No.
You don't know Sleipnir?
I don't think so.
Sleipnir is a horse.
Of course. Let's see. What do we got left here?
It might be Sleipnir, I'm not sure exactly. See, here's some artist renditions of one. Oh. It's an 8-legged horse from Norse mythology. From when Loki turned into a lady horse and then got pregnant.
That Loki.
What?
That Loki.
Yeah.
Always doing such funny things.
Between those toes. Almost around all the feet.
Yeah, so I'm getting close to finishing these stucco parts of these walls.
Okay. Whew. So I have surrounded the feet, except for along the backside here. Its foot's almost coming off the base.
Yeah, it is. It extends over the bases.
So I have to go around the outside edge here and just get that going. Alright. So now that the feet have been surrounded by the green, I am going to fill in the rest of the plate it's standing on, except the edge, and I'm actually going to pull the wolf off the handle with a glove. Hold the horse. Hold the dog horse. It's a dog horse. Bark, bark. And do the outside edge here. Although its foot's kind of coming off the front too, isn't it?
Yeah, I noticed that when I painted the base coat, and has the feet coming off.
I mean, that's kind of a neat effect.
Mm-hmm.
It sort of like stretches the base to its maximum limits. Kind of, I don't know, I like it. But it is something to be aware of when painting. So, what I'm going to do is fill in the rest of this base with the green. Being very careful. Primarily, the most important time actually on doing this is getting your brush to the base, not actually when it's on the base. Because you have a loaded brush full of paint and a fully painted miniature that you can easily just go and cover in green paint. Right?
Yeah.
So
and then you've got a mess.
A lot of times you're like, this area from here to here, whatever, you know. But when you're doing this, that's the time to pay the most attention. So you can see how much coloring in that base makes this wolf pop.
Yeah, it makes a big difference, doesn't it? Otherwise,
you kind of lose it.
You just kind of lose it on the base, and the splotchiness of the paint is distracting.
Mm-hmm. So putting in a single color like this, or, you know, if you're someone who likes those sort of like flocked bases, you could do that as well, but you'd still probably want to paint it in a color like this. But then something you can do, which is sometimes kind of neat, flocking is basically little fluffy chunks made to look like grass and leaves and stuff for train sets and other things like that. And what you can actually do, once you have a dry base that's a single color, is take a more disposable brush and apply a thin layer of glue around your base, right? And I'm having a little paint problems because this green is setting and it's clumping up.
Yeah, and then you just sort of dust.
Then you can actually hold the model, have a little bin of flocking, and drop the model in, shake it around a little and pull it out, and then blow it off. And the flocking should only stick to where you've applied glue.
Which you did very carefully.
Which you did very carefully with a brush. And there you go. Yeah. Alright, so I have the base greened in, except for the edge. So what I'm going to do now is ask you to hand me a glove. You're getting all those, all that sand in pretty nicely.
Yeah, I'm almost.
Just a little bit in the door frame after that.
Mm-hmm. I have to do the other side of this door frame, and then I want to go back and make sure that I got like all the corners and edges covered.
I'm going to remove the wolf from its prison. Make sure I don't get any paint on the wolf while I handle it. And what I want to do is take the green paint and go around the outer edge here, like so. Just being extra careful not to mess up my wolf model. Okay. There is a wolf on a green base. I am not gonna try and shade in the toes until that base is very dry. I don't want to handle it anymore at all until it's dry, because
yeah, you'll
now
get it on your hands
the only thing
and
I
you'll
can
touch something.
the only thing I can do now is add issues. I did notice one small spot where the green was not sticking. So carefully picking up my wolf. I'm setting it way off here, so I cannot mess with it until it's dry. But what I can do in the meantime is take the previously painted wolf and get that one greened in on the base. So sticking it on my handle here, getting my brush clean. When I'm doing something like this, I want to really make sure the paint's not clumping on the brush bristles. So just gonna do that. Are you planning on taking a break? I know you usually like to take a break about halfway in.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a break after I finish the
beige.
Mm-hmm.
Pulling out my green again. Now we rinse and repeat. I want to start here because that's like the hardest.
I'm just going to check the edges here to make sure that they're covered enough so that they'll look okay. I didn't miss any, did I?
Give me just a second. Okay. Trying to make sure I'm not hitting anything. No, it looks like you got it all, unless I didn't bring any over from the prime station, but it looks like that's everything.
Okay.
Yawn. 2 feet on this one done. There we go. Now for the other 2.
Okay, so that's enough of that. There's a whole bunch of stucco painted stuccos. And the next step is to paint the wood beams.
Yep, and then the floors
Mhm.
last. But you're gonna take a break.
Yeah, short break.
Short break. And you're gonna get me
More coffee.
more coffee, like usual.
Mm-hmm. Kind of ritual thing.
Mm-hmm.
This brush got really caked up. That paint was very thick and gooey.
It's that give and take. On the one hand, a thick paint covers in one coat. On the other hand, and gum up your brush.
Yeah, this brush probably I'll need to give it an alcohol bath.
A little stronger than water.
Yeah. But I won't be using it for a while. So I'm going to get these cups cleaned while I'm up.
Okay. I have a black wash there that you can clean if you don't mind. Alright, that is 3 of 4 feet. Okay. So the feet are surrounded on the other wolf here. And now I gotta just fill in the rest. I am a bit sleepy today. I'm often sleepy on Fridays. I don't know why. I'm just gonna... I try and not do this generally because I don't like getting paint on the putty. But I'm tired. I don't want to try carefully handling the wolf. I could probably swap myself over to this scene so you have a bigger view. Okay. Good no. That's what I say. So, I'm gonna quickly throw my brush in the water to clean, close up my paint. So, there is the other wolf on its green pedestal. So, I want to wait for that green to dry really well so I don't have any handling issues. But I'm going to take some black wash and define the area between the toes a little better, just so now that you can see them, it needs a little oomph down there. Very gentle, but I'll set that wolf to the side. Now I have a few things I could do. I could help start defining the wood on the tavern set here. I also have, this is my larger project. There we go. I got this big old elk. Sorry, it turns into an elk a lot. The antler's a little off, but I don't want to snap it. I have a big majestic elk I could start on. She turns into an elk and charges people a lot. So that might be a project I start here. I'm not sure. The wolves are 99% done. I have 1% left to do. And I don't know, I don't really want to paint wood if I can avoid it, but it's probably will be better for me, for everyone, if I do that. Let's see, what are these dry? So, what we're doing with these dungeon tiles, we have this really rough beige sand color put in on the plaster. Obviously, it's very roughly put in. And next we need wood beams to be put on. So I will be nice and help do that while my dad's taking a break. And when he comes back, the wolves should be dry enough to finish up their feet, I hope. That paint's drying relatively quickly, so I'll finish up their feet when he gets back, if I can. So, in the meantime, I'm gonna help out with the dungeon tiles, I suppose. So, what we're doing is putting in the base coat for the wood here. So, as you can see, it's very messy from just getting, I have cat hair everywhere. Weird. Alright, I guess that's not weird. Cat hair is just everywhere. So, what we need to do is get this flat earth, it's called, brown, painted in over the wood beams, like so. There we go. So that gives you a little more sense of what these actually are supposed to look like. As you get these beams painted in, they really change the look. There we go. So this dungeon tile has a very long, round piece of wood through the middle here. Okay, so that's more what the wall looks like. The brown here will be darkened with an umber wash later, but that gives you a better sense of the sort of coloration that we're and look that we're getting. So I'm gonna flip over like so and do the other side. I spotched a little there. It's okay. There's a cleanup phase that we'll do where I can address that.
Go.
Thank you.
Oh, you're starting to paint.
I figured I'd be helpful rather than do something like starting out.
No? Thought for sure you're going to start an elf.
I know.
So what are we using on that?
Flat Earth.
I know we've got extras of those around somewhere.
Oh, probably, yeah. Like right here in front of you.
Huh, look at that. Right there behind something.
So, one thing we're gonna do is leave the sides here unpainted for the moment. That way we can handle them a little easier until they dry, and also
You can use a bigger brush and
you
go
can
faster.
you can often use a bigger brush.
Okay. So I'm doing the same thing. Just over on the other side here off camera.
Oh, sorry. Let me use what's loaded on my brush, and then I'll switch you over.
Put me back on.
Yeah.
I have to maintain my celebrity status.
Mm-hmm. Boop. There we go.
I booped.
You've been booped.
Huh.
Alright. Dungeon tile time.
The old famous tavern dungeon.
Alright, so that's the front and back one that put in. The edges and the floors will be done later. Sometimes the magnets stick. For some reason, sometimes magnets stick to each other.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes they repel each other.
So, we have a few corners, which always suck, because there's a lot.
Yeah, the surface area. And just getting into it.
On the inside, yeah.
Yeah.
Can be a bit of a pain. Is the music? Did the music stop when I changed scenes? What the hell? I don't know what's going on with the music. Or maybe I just had a theory. Aha! Found the problem.
What, the on button?
Spotify updated. We're using Spotify just because it works with some apps and stuff that we're using. But it updated and removed the repeat button, so it was playing through the playlist and then just stopping.
Mm-hmm. That's because updates change all of your settings.
Yeah.
Just because there's a new version.
Well, look at that troubleshooting on the fly while painting.
That was impressive.
Yeah. Everyone should be impressed. Alright. And this is why the corners take so long. I am about to finish effectively 1/4 of it, because I have this side and both insides.
Yeah, it's like 2 walls with just some extra annoyance. But at least it doesn't have 10 corners like I said somebody was.
Whoever would have done that would be a monster. right?
Mm-hmm. Almost done. Set up here. I'll do a corner here. Do it.
Oh, you're doing the other corner?
Yeah.
Split the load.
Here.
The one nice thing about corners is you can just set them on the table if you want.
Mm-hmm. And there's not much floor area.
And the floor is fairly limited in space.
That's why the round corners are so nice. Since they're easy to paint. They have the same, kind of coverage on a model as the square corners, and they look cool. But they're not always appropriate for everything.
Unfortunately, no. It's a bit dry down here in this basement. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. It's been kind of chilly the last 2 nights. Humidity has dropped in the house. We turned off the portable humidifiers because it was warmer and more humid. And then it wasn't.
Yeah. Just to remind us of why we use humidifiers. Right?
Mm-hmm.
In case we get a big head about house humidity.
Yeah, or think that, the weather's going to be nice or something.
Yeah. Alright, so there's the back. I'm actually gonna wait to do the front so I can set the piece on its back.
No.
I don't wanna but I wanna set it like that, but I don't want to put wet paint on the table. So I'm actually gonna take the next annoying piece.
Oh, those.
The window. So the windows aren't too bad, but you have to
Go around the window.
Go around the inside of the window frame here. Ooh. Like so. And get that inside edge of the window painted in. It's honestly not all that bad, it's just a little more, slightly more technical. And it adds a bit of time to the piece. And you won't be able to see this because I have to turn the model upside down. Which will hide it from the camera. But generally I like to try and get the same do both sides at the same time, I mean. So, with the inside of the frame painted in, I can now do the faces. How's the corner going?
Yeah. Getting done.
So, when I finish this one, I might go finish my wolves quick.
Yeah.
Just to have them be done. I wanna. I wouldn't mind having
them be done.
My little wolves here be fully done.
Yeah, if the wash is dried enough to do that.
It's mostly not the wash even. It's the green. I didn't want to.
Oh yeah, you don't want to touch the green.
I didn't want to smudge and then get green all over my wolf from the base.
You need to do the edges of the green?
No, I want to take a tiny bit of wash.
Oh, the claws.
And go over the claws and toes a little.
I remember that.
But while you were gone and while they were drying, I wanted to give you a hand starting on these dungeon tiles.
Yeah, getting them going.
Getting them painted in. So, I'm going to do this window. And then I'll switch over to the wolves for their finishing touches.
This corner has a big chunk of wood on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Leave some of that for the bigger brush.
Okay. Just a little bit left on the faces of this. The bottom. Now, when they're all joined together, all these dungeon tiles, this little bottom base is actually pretty much invisible. They're covered up with each other. Yeah. But it really makes the whole piece look finished by painting down there, so we do that. Alright, I'm going to take a quick break, now that I have the faces done on that window, to finish my wolves. Alright. Check my fingers for wet paint. Alright, so I have these two wolves that are done-ish, except for a tiny bit of black wash. And I'm actually gonna see if I can just get black wash out of the cap rather than... It's a little wet in there, so I think I can actually make do with the wash that's in the cap rather than pouring some out. Because all I'm doing is getting a tiny bit in between the toes and claws. So this is becoming a little funny, but what I'm doing, because they're so tiny, I'm getting the black wash in between the toes where I want it, and it's gonna darken up the tops of the feet a little bit, and when that's dry, I can go in with the base coat and cover the tops to bring it back from how shaded it is, but this will add a lot of definition to the overall foot. So it's a little splotchy, but that's actually very temporary. There's just not a good way to get it without a single-haired brush, and this lets me play to the advantages of the wash, the thinness of the wash. So I have those in. Where is the other handle? Do you see it?
No. You can't have gone too far.
Huh.
That's a
Weird.
bright blue with an orange cap.
Right here.
Oh, hidden among the eggs.
Hidden with the colorful eggs. So I'm gonna do the same. This is Lydia P. Wolf and Lydia W. Wolf.
Now, do the middle initials stand for anything, or are they just...
The W stands for wolf.
Mm-hmm. Wolf, wolf.
The P stands for wolf.
Okay.
Silent P, like a pterodactyl.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was afraid of. So, if you see I got a splotch of black wash on the leg, that's very fixable, just annoying. So, the first thing I will do to account for that is dry off my brush, and I can pull away most of it with a drier brush. And then that splotch there, I can paint right over because it's not in a area that is specially painted. But annoying. So when I go over and do the tops of the feet and the base coat, I'll just hit that arm as well. But I'm going to set that one off to dry. Close up my black wash. Not get covered in paint for once. And then I'll need, that's buff. Need this. This is the deck tan. This is the base coat that the legs are painted in. This light beige color. So I'm gonna give a second for this. I actually hit the other one in the same exact spot. Oh, it's fine. It's not hard to fix. So I'm going to drink a little coffee, and then go over those feet and legs. So now that I've worked dark into those toes, I want to lighten up the tops of the toes and the feet back up to the normal base coat color, and that will leave just what's down in the cracks. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. See how it goes.
Alright, so I'm using my teeny tiny brush. Cover up that spot if I can. So you can see there, hopefully. The back paw versus the front paw.
Yep, that makes a big difference.
It's not super hard, it's just a little process. Just a little slightly delicate. I can also sort of leave the claws a little darker too. The actual claw part of the wolf. I think that'll do. That just creates a little more foot detail, where they were kind of just a beige blob before. And I think that might finish up officially the wolf.
We have two wolves.
Well, I haven't done the other one yet.
Oh, the base, you mean? Yeah, that's what.
No, like the wolf. This wolf is done.
Mm-hmm.
The other wolf needs to have its feet painted over still and its leg fixed. So, while I'm thinking of it, I'm gonna cover up that leg. It got splotched. Alright, and now for the wolf feet. Like that. Okay, there are 2 feet. It's pretty easy. Just, move your brush a little slow and it's not too bad. My key is try and just put a line down the top of the toe rather than watch it everywhere. Alright, there. Wolf 2 has feet now. Oh, let's close up your paint. Alright, Wolf 2 is in. So, something I might do quick is base coat the elk. Because I would like that to be very dry. when I start going over it. If you're okay with that.
Oh yeah, I'm just having great fun painting, you know, the wood frames around the stucco here.
I am looking up a picture of an elk. When doing animals, I always like to
look at one.
So, from what I'm seeing, obviously we have sort of a brown ivory for the antler. They have a very light coat through their body, and then up around the head and shoulders, it gets a much more dark brown.
Yeah, they're darker underneath.
And they're darker on the underside.
It's the opposite.
Yeah, kind of the opposite of the wolf. I mean, it's predator and prey, right? I guess. This elk is just a little big, but I think I can stick it on the base, the handle. Alright. So, I'm thinking buff.
Yeah, buff and then shading it with a pretty dark brown, actually.
Yeah. But for the base coat today, I'm gonna look at one or two more pictures quick, just to make sure. Like, this one's slightly lighter, but in general, they're quite...
Yeah, they're pretty light on top.
Light on top, and their legs get dark. Alright.
Almost black at the bottom.
I'm gonna pull my camera up, because I'm working on a bigger model here. I'll sort of... yeah, that seems secure. Just barely holding on to my handle, but it should be okay. I'm gonna use this brush here, this medium-sized brush, because all I am doing today is putting in this buff as a base coat all over the body, everything except the antlers, basically. And that's all I want to do today, so that when I come back to the elk, I'll be able to paint over this buff without worrying about is it dry before I open it. Out of a pure amount of paranoia, I'm going to move my wolves way over there and knock the elk over. I'm drunk on rotten apples. Okay.
Oh.
I'm seeing if I can mold to secure this in any way. Mold the tack.
Tack around the bottoms of the feet, maybe.
Yeah. It should be okay.
Yeah, the feet are really darker colors, so you could paint it from the bottom later.
Yeah. I'm not gonna go, because I know the feet are a lot darker. I'm actually not going to bring the buff all the way down the elk. I'm gonna leave like the hooves and the top tiny portion of the leg unpainted for now. Because based on those pictures, it's very dark fur on the legs and around the head and neck. Everything else is much more in this light beige color, brownish beige. So this will serve as my base coat, and then I'll help you in the last hour. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
I don't think we're gonna finish the tavern for sure.
No, we'll get... The tavern takes a lot longer than the other dungeons because of
almost
the detail on the walls.
Right. This just doesn't quite fit.
This is not holding, huh?
This might be a hold the piece paint job. So I am... For a base coat like this, you can be nice and quick. Yep, there it goes. Alright. I will not be using the handle for this. The elk is just too big.
Do like a alligator clip?
No. I don't want to risk
Breaking something or
breaking or scratching or otherwise damaging the elk, because the elk is very important to Soria. She turns into elks all the time in combat.
Mm-hmm. Very effective. Well, Ulceth is pointlessly flailing his weapons in the air. Add 6 to your hit. Miss. Add 6 to your hit. Miss. Inspiration.
Plus. What you need is like a feat that is like, if you miss 3 times in a row, your next hit automatically crits.
Yeah, that's what I need.
You need like a statistics fudging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't need to paint the head. I don't think. I'll get the ears, because sometimes the ears are lighter. And the back of the head here. But the head looked very dark in the pictures I saw. So. Looks like a sheep. Leaving just the head. Alright. A horned sheep. Oh no, it's antlers. Alright, I'm going to just gently set this elk over here. And that's gonna dry over the weekend. Be really nice and dry and handleable, but that base coat will give me something to work off of when I jump back into.
Got back into elk mode.
Hmm?
When you get back into elk mode on Monday?
Yep, Monday will be elk day. Okay. One thing I know is this is dry enough now I can do the insides. So for the last hour here, I'm just gonna help you get through all of these
yeah, paint the wood frames.
Dungeon.
Paint the demarcation line between the wall and the floor. Paint the floors.
So first things first, get through the corner that I only half painted. Otherwise I'll forget and regret it later. When I'm doing huge amounts of sets, there's always a piece that I like didn't paint the back side of, or didn't wash the back side.
Yeah, well, that was a really huge set the last one we did.
So you saw me painting all sorts of delicate wolf eyes, and now it's into the dungeon painting, which is a very different skill set. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try and make a clean line, but you have a lot to get through, so you don't have to dawdle. Although we have plenty of time, these aren't on a timetable. Like we're not using them in an episode or something.
No, like some we have to get done.
Are these all the finished ones you've done?
Yeah, I haven't done the edges. But...
Yeah. I'm gonna tackle a door frame. Door frames actually can take a little bit because they have a lot of little finicky parts. What's the name of this tavern?
I don't know, I'm not good at naming things.
How about the Pampered Poodle? Upscale.
Upscale.
Mm-hmm.
I would have thought the one with blue walls would be the upscale.
Why?
There's blue walls. So just stuck it.
This is one of those, like, rich people go here for a, quote, authentic experience.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all very manufactured.
Yeah. I'm really tired of that word, the authentic. Everything's authentic.
That's why I put it in quote.
Yeah.
Like, they have, like, a staged bar brawl between the actors. Like, they have, like, peasant folk actors in the bar that, like, they don't get to actually drink booze on the job. They just have to, like, drink, like, water that's been dyed to look like beer.
Yeah. And then they have to talk
In, like, folksy accents. And it's, like, all a stage production for, like, the wealthy elite.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, like, a schedule of events where, like, a bar brawl breaks out, and they put on, like, a, you know, it's sort of like a performance fight. And the wealthy assholes who go here are just like, so, it's just
so
like,
authentic.
it's so authentic.
It's just like it should be in my authentic imagination.
Yeah. That's what happens here at this bar.
Ooh, I almost got splashed by something. It was so close.
Except for this invisible plastic screen that...
Yeah, good thing I was wearing last year's designer thing.
the designer poncho that came with the ticket.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Ooh, let's sit in the splash zone.
This is very cynical. And then there's like theme nights, so like instead of like, you know, just generic peasants, there's like pirate night where you're like, oh, everyone, all of the actors are pretending it's a pirate bar. Ooh, you know,
Arg.
arr, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like this absolutely horrible place where like all the food and drinks are like really cheap but way overpriced.
Well, yeah. You have to pay for authenticity.
I think I hate every single person who goes to this.
The kind of place the voice would hang out.
Oh yeah. Did you see the voice was performing at the Pampered Poodle?
He wasn't even on the billing. He just
Showed up.
Showed up. And we all started applauding and just, oh yeah.
I suppose I can sing a little ditty.
And authentic.
Have we invented the worst place?
Yes.
I'll do the other door frame.
Okay. We got window and
Pillar. Inside corner.
inside corner.
Yeah, one of these.
And then all the edges.
Yeah, but those don't take long at least. Oh, that'll be part of cleanup. I got a little spot in the dark sand with plaster.
Now, if there isn't one in the new paint box, I don't remember if it is.
We can look,
We can check.
and then if need be,
Because if we're going to keep painting it, probably we're going to have to get more.
I think this is probably going to be the standard color.
Standard tavern wall color.
Yeah, because it's what people expect. People like the color walls, like the blue and
Green.
green, red, things like that. They look really great. But I mean, if you're doing a lot of pieces, what you generally want is generic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that they can be used in a lot of different settings. Which, unfortunately, isn't all that exciting always to paint. Sometimes. Man, I am losing focus. There's gonna be more than a little cleanup to do. I got a couple spots. But I didn't get nearly enough sleep last night.
Again.
Like saying wanted to talk late.
Mm.
I did not get as much sleep as I should have. But it wasn't my fault.
Okay.
I can blame someone else.
That's the important thing.
That's all that really matters. Well, after we're done here, on Monday, if you want to choose an animal, a wild shape, and work on that, I can do the tavern finishing. That way you're not stuck doing dungeon tiles multiple days in a row.
I don't mind doing it. I mean, you're really good at figures, and I know you like it.
So are you.
Okay, so what do we got? Just this window frame and then all the edges?
Yeah. And the inside corner, but I can get that if you want. That's not a big deal. Dang it. I'm just tired. I'm losing my focus. But I'll do the cleanup on these because I'm on his. I mean, it takes like a second to clean up, but it's just like, if you don't have to, you know?
Yeah, it takes less time if you don't have to do it than if you do.
Thank you. That's very,
Time is funny that way.
that's very informational.
Mm.
It's very Ulsa. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Practicing tonight. Since you're tired, why don't you get out the big brush?
And do the edges.
Yeah.
I still have to do the last one here.
Mm.
It's just a filler though. You're getting that window put in?
Mm-hmm.
We're in the last leg of the stream here, so I might take a nap. So.
That sounds good. I was gonna trim the juniper bonsai if it's warm enough to be outside.
Yeah, I don't know what the temperature is like outside.
No, it was supposed to be 60 something yesterday, and it never really got anywhere close to that. It was okay for working. Did a lot of planting. But trimming the bonsai is just sitting still.
Not moving around nearly as much.
No, not at all, really.
There is a beam. Alright, so the ones I know are drier, I'll start with. I'm actually going to do this in like a 2-stage thing. I'm gonna paint the top on all of them. Like so. And then, well, maybe I'll just paint all of the edges. I was gonna think it might be easier to do all of the top and then all the sides after that, but they'll be about the same. And then I can be done with each piece as I finish it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, once we get through all of the wood here, the next step is going to be to paint the floors, right?
Yeah, so we need to paint the...
So you want to paint along the
demarcation line.
edge, yeah, between the floor and the wall, carefully.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, you can fill the floor in a little more loosey-goosey, but you don't want to just pile in on the floor right where it comes up to the wall, or else you're going to have to clean up even more. Here is but this gives you a much better idea of what the finished walls will look like once I get these all painted in. Now the main difference will be that this lighter wood color, this light, is going to get toned down and you'll see more texture. I'm going to use an umber wash on it to accomplish that. But that won't be until close to the end. I'm actually going to do that before I do any cleanup on the plaster. Because wash is thin and it sometimes you can get it on the plaster part. And you can just clean it up. But I don't see much sense in cleaning up something twice if I can avoid it. Yeah?
No need to do something twice. If you can get by doing it once.
You okay there?
Yeah.
Dry
Just
throat?
drainage.
Oh, drainage, yeah.
Okay, well, I think I can get the bigger brush out. I'll finish these two.
Sure. The corners, as always, take extra. It's like a corner has almost 2 walls. How does that happen? Alright. There we go. Yeah, so you're starting to see it all come together here. Paper or something. Alright. Oh yeah, and you didn't paint the back.
And this one?
No, you just,
Oh yeah,
you
on the
intentionally.
corner, yeah.
That was intentional.
Mm-hmm.
I just was noting it to myself. Because I usually do paint it in at the same time.
Yeah,
The,
but with a little brush, it's kind of a pain.
yeah.
And with this, it's really fast.
This is such a diversion from the
Wolf.
that wolf detail that I did.
Mm-hmm.
Were there 3 corners? Oh.
Yeah.
I only saw 2 for a while. That's surprising.
Surprise, surprise. Yep, there are 3.
I'll get through them. Yawn, yawn, yawn.
Compared to that dungeon stuff, this seems so tiny.
Oh, the throne
Mm-hmm.
set. Yeah, it is about half the size. Actually.
Is
Is that it? I don't know. I think that might be all of them.
Yeah.
Shocking. Okay. Well. Next is the floor, right?
Mm-hmm. The floor delineation.
That's red brown.
So we're using the flat brown.
Yeah, we'll use flat brown. I like to have on a dungeon tile, I like to go with a darker color for the floor because it helps contrast a little with like characters and stuff that are on it.
Mm-hmm. So what color are we painting the bars?
The bars?
Yeah. The wood.
I don't know.
You want to do that in the red brown just so it's different?
We can do that if you want. You want red brown?
Yeah. I mean, we want it to look different from the floor and the walls.
Where is the...
And that stone down there is so.
Can you hand me that flat brown over there when you have a chance?
So these have a stone base and some wood things and a wood top. So I'm going to paint the wood top and these bars.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 of them. Probably do all of those. And then, yeah, what about the doors? Have you thought about those? Or did it just do the floor color?
They'll be a flat brown like these. All the doors are going to be standard.
Oh yeah, these needed to be
Painted
this color.
flat earth. So if you want to do that, that would be good.
Otherwise, these always get forgotten.
Yeah, the doors are easy to forget, as we know.
Keep finding out. So yeah, I'm gonna paint these. Otherwise, yeah, just the lintels of the doors are the same color as the door frame.
Mm-hmm.
So I might as well paint them that color while I'm remembering to paint them. Oh, okay. I need to scrape this off. And just paper stuck to the bottom when they were primed.
We have some drying racks, but they're not here yet. to set our primed pieces on. Since we're doing a larger volume than we ever had before, it hasn't been an issue until now. So what I'm doing is I'm putting a brown line against the wall here to separate the rest of the floor from the wall. I'm going to just set it up there. And this means when we go in with a larger brush to paint the rest of the floor, we run less of a risk of running up against the wall with the large brush.
And less running up.
The less
touching it.
Touching up, but later at the end. Like so. It's not very flashy looking until the rest of the floor gets painted in, but it's important to do. Reconfiguring the locations of everything here so that I can more easily access them. Alright.
Okay. Oh, maybe I'm done with this color again.
This flat brown is almost empty, isn't it?
Mine is too. We could put them together.
This is the one that you had?
That's flat earth. Oh, you mean that flat brown? Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty low.
The stores are done. They don't need to be there.
Did something happen?
No, they were just bumping in. These are the doors to the
Older sets.
yeah, the other set that we were. Is it the Necromancer set?
Yeah. Do you want me to set them over there?
Okay. I'll put this away again. And now I will paint bars. I think I can just use the big brush on that again. basically just painting the flat surface and going down around the edges, and I don't mind getting it on the stone because the stone will get painted gray. It's kind of weird going all this time and not painting anything gray. I've been doing a lot of gray painting lately.
I painted some walls gray. Does that count?
It goes on so bright and red and then changes color.
What, the flat brown?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have painted Fireplace.
Oh, probably, but we have a lot of taverns.
Hmm.
That's the fireplace for this set. Is that the red brown you're putting on?
Yeah, just so it's different than all the other browns because there's a lot of brown.
In this wood structure?
Mhm. I was thinking it'd be good to not have it the same color as the floor.
Makes sense. Stand out a little more. The red brown takes an umber wash quite nicely too, so we can bring out the grain on the
tabletop
yeah.
bar surface.
Mm-hmm. Alright. This is like the most annoying part because you don't feel like you're doing anything.
Yeah, you're not covering enough surface to really feel like you're getting anything.
Like you're accomplishing anything. Even though it's important to do. And we will see why in a little bit.
It's on the bottom. I'll clean that up later.
Hmm?
Oh, the paper's stuck to the bottom.
Oh. Yeah.
It's not getting painted. It's not in the way. I'll just check to make sure that covered. Okay, that's done.
You don't paint floors?
I'm gonna paint floors. There must be another open red brown somewhere.
Flat brown.
Flat brown. Yeah.
You were just doing red.
I know what I'm doing. Colors.
I don't
Brown.
see one, but you can look in the bin. Any luck?
Mm-hmm.
Here are 4 floor-only pieces, that, if you would like.
And get started on those. Yeah, that drying rack would be nice to have.
Mm-hmm. Won't run into that problem anymore.
And it's non-stick, so it shouldn't stick.
It's metal. I don't think it's non-stick.
Oh,
It's gonna be covered in paint. We didn't really break the bank on a little baking rack. You know?
yeah.
But it's like stainless steel, so it really shouldn't be, and like a grid of wire, so it really should not be an issue anymore with that.
Fancy parquet flooring here.
Mm-hmm. That's a pamper poodle.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to make it a very fancy bar, you could actually alternate the wood types.
Yeah, we could. Let's not.
A little too much.
Well, I know. It's pampered poodle. We could.
It has to look fancy and authentic. Right?
Mm-hmm. You have to put like big spit on the floor.
Yeah, that's like it's actually like it's unremovable. It's basically like a little splotch of resin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, it looks like someone bled here. I assume that's a thing people do in bars.
Bleed on the floor.
Mm-hmm. They're just like the worst people. Right. The people who go to this bar.
Mm-hmm. They are the worst people.
Like, half my hair came out of my ponytail. What the hell?
To behave.
There. Ugh. I will help on doing the floors then. For about 10 minutes.
From being done?
Oh, I think we're gonna do a raid after we're done here. So stick around, because there's a very cool artist who is going to be raided.
That sounds like fun. Will it be an authentic raid?
Yes. Probably. Alright, so I'm going to grab a larger brush and start doing floors.
Yeah, these go pretty fast.
It actually is even my biggest brush. Which I don't really like to clean, but you know, when you want to get all the floors done in the last 10 minutes. Alright, I'll check and try when we're done. Thank you for letting me know. So, this is sort of what a tavern piece will look like, almost. The wood part will be, the beams are going to be darkened still, but it's kind of a closer idea of what we're going to have.
Yeah. That brown looks really kind of crummy before it's washed. I mean, it's a nice brown, but it's...
Oh, the flat earth.
Yeah, it's very dull.
It's flat. Which makes sense. Did you take off your glove to handle?
Yeah, I don't want to get paint all over.
Oh, it was covered in paint. Yeah.
Yeah, I was painting the floor.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, the floors are coming along on our dungeon. Well, we got a lot done today.
You got a wolf
we
done?
finished 2 wolves, which I'll show when we're done here.
We have these nearly done. I mean,
I'd say these are
base
about
coat,
80% done.
Yeah. The walls, the beams need to be washed.
And then cleanup needs to be done on our tavern here. Once we get the floors all painted in, though, I'm going to show off my wolves one more time that I painted today. I got a base coat started on my elk, as well. These are all wild shapes for my druid character.
I did some miscellaneous doors and lintels.
Yeah, that will all need to be glued in now. Quite a productive day. Get these door frames are always a bit of a pain to do.
Yeah.
I heard like a weird noise.
Mm-hmm. Sounded like you broke a nail.
Might have. I'm wearing a glove, it's hard to tell. You doing the big floor?
Yeah, the double door.
Yeah, that one's a pain.
No, it's just long.
It's a lot.
It takes twice as long because it's twice as big.
Yeah. Alright, well at least this part is quick and it like makes it look nice. That's a nice part about doing
The floors, yeah.
the floor like this is
It starts to look finished.
it starts to look like an actual dungeon style. In this case, tavern. I like to name the taverns, and this one is the Pampered Poodle. Previous taverns I did, there's the Lucky Boar, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was I think there was a chicken-based one that I did as well. It was like, so there's two naming conventions I find are the best for like old-timey taverns for D&D and all that. You either do the adjective noun, like the Pampered Poodle, right?
Mm-hmm. Or Lucky Boar.
Or Lucky Boar. Or you can do the noun and noun. You know, like the bit and bridle. You know?
Mm-hmm. Really, those are the only two ways you can name taverns.
You know, like classic examples are like the Prancing Pony.
Otherwise, it would be like, you know, you could do things like Joe's Place or...
Yeah, like a person's name, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't that sort of like doing adjective noun? Doing a possessive noun and then play.
Then there's always the one that everybody thinks is really clever.
Mm-hmm.
The dewdrop.
Where did that come from?
That spot?
Yeah.
That is somebody got drowned on the...
That is part of the cleanup process, right?
That's
there.
definitely a cleanup spot.
So, almost done with all the floors.
Yeah. We want those doors painted the same color.
Yeah, the doors are gonna just be uniform
I'll just paint
across
those down.
sets. So those are gonna be flat earth and
Flat earth?
sorry, flat brown.
This color.
This floor color. Well, aside from the splotch, that one turned out alright.
Yeah, that's quite a splotch.
It is. It's like
It's so big you can't see it almost. No, I mean, sometimes flaws are so big.
Yeah.
You don't notice them because they're so obvious. Really nice. I mean, when you paint, you can make just big splotches like that. Just hold on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not. That's easy to fix. I'm not really worried about it.
No, it was just startlingly large.
All right. So. There is one more corner, and I think you're on the last one. So, drop
Okay.
that in the water.
Paint these doors.
I'm gonna wrap us up and show my wolves one last time. They're sort of on this proto spell circle. Ooh, wolves.
So I'm going to paint. There's these metal bars and doorknobs and things. I'm going to paint right over them. Just makes them easier to see when we paint them the metallic color later.
Here are the finished wolves. They're gray wolves. Grr, bark, 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 bark. Alright, so thank you everyone for showing up. I'm gonna initiate a raid here. We will be doing our DnD stream this Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, so please check that out here on Twitch. Otherwise, we're going to be back at it next week with more painting. I have an elk to do, we have dungeon sets, we have so much stuff. So I'm gonna quickly see if I can send a raid over to a very cool artist. Yeah.
It's always a good thing to do. Mutual support. Whereas Kropotkin said mutual aid.
And thank you everyone for coming.
Thanks for joining in.
Bye.